Think of your kitchen counter as a workshop. You wouldn't use a sledgehammer to hang a picture frame, and you shouldn't use a table saw to mix paint. That's exactly the relationship between a blender and a food processor. People often get paralyzed trying to decide between the two, or worse, they try to force one machine to do the other's job and end up with onion juice instead of diced onions. To really master your kitchen prep, you need to stop looking at them as interchangeable gadgets and start respecting their individual engineering. Let's break down exactly why they exist and which one actually deserves your counter space. The core mechanism. It all comes down to physics. A blender is built for violence and speed. It uses a tall, narrow jar to create a powerful vortex, a vacuum effect that sucks ingredients down into fixed, dull blades spinning at terrifyingly high RPMs. The goal isn't to cut, it's to obliterate. It wants to pulverize everything into a single, uniform liquid. There is no nuance here, just pure centrifugal force designed to destroy texture. A food processor, however, is all about torque and surface area. It features a wide, flat bowl and longer, razor-sharp blades that spin much slower. Because there's no vortex, the food stays loose and distinct. This allows the blades to cleanly slice through a cucumber or shred a block of cheese, rather than turning it into mush. It relies on mechanical force to cut, not speed to liquefy. It's essentially an automated knife that never gets tired. Texture versus liquefaction. Here is the simplest litmus test. Do you want to drink it, or do you want to chew it? If you need silky, smooth uniformity, you want a blender. It is the king of emulsions and purees. Think about a vinaigrette where the oil and vinegar need to be forced together, or a smoothie where frozen berries need to disappear into the liquid. The blender's high speed creates that seamless texture that a food processor simply cannot achieve because it lacks the velocity to break down cell walls completely. On the flip side, if you want texture, you need the food processor. It excels at dry chopping. If you put salsa ingredients in a blender, the bottom will be juice before the top is even cut. A food processor keeps the pieces separate, giving you that perfect chunky consistency for dips like guacamole or pico de gallo. It preserves the integrity of the ingredient rather than destroying it. Handling dry ingredients. This is where the food processor embarrasses the blender. Because of its wide bowl and S-blade design, a food processor can handle dry, heavy tasks without breaking a sweat. You can throw in cold butter and flour to make pie crust, and the machine will cut the fat into the flour perfectly without melting it. You can toss in whole nuts and grind them into meal, or grate hard Parmesan cheese. The wide base allows dry ingredients to move freely, ensuring an even chop. Try this in a standard blender, and you'll smell burning plastic. Blenders generally depend on liquid to move things around. Without it, dry ingredients just get stuck in the corners or cavitate, where the blades spin uselessly in an air pocket while the food sits above them, untouched. Unless you have a high-end model with a tamper, doing dry prep in a blender is an exercise in frustration. The volume factor. Blenders are vertical. Food processors are horizontal. This geometry matters more than you think. The tall jar of a blender is fantastic for containing liquids. You can fill it with hot soup or a large smoothie, and gravity keeps everything cycling down into the blades. It's a leak-proof system designed for volume flow. You can pour directly from it, making it the superior vessel for anything drinkable. The food processor's wide, shallow bowl is terrible for liquids. If you fill it past a certain point, usually quite low, liquid will slosh up and leak out of the central drive shaft or the lid seam. It's messy and inefficient for soups. However, that wide bowl is a dream for bulky items. You can process entire batches of shredded cabbage or slice 10 pounds of potatoes for a gratin in minutes. The horizontal space lets you process more solid food at once without overcrowding the blades. Attachments and versatility. A blender is largely a one-trick pony, but it does that trick exceptionally well. It blends. That's it. High-end models might heat soup via friction or crush ice into snow, but the mechanics remain the same. Fast spinning blades at the bottom. You aren't going to swap out parts to make it do something else. It is a specialist. The food processor is a transformer. It comes with a library of discs and blades that fundamentally change its function. Swap the S-blade for a shredding disc, and it replaces your box grater. Put in the slicing disc, and it replaces your mandoline. Use the dough blade, and it replaces your stand mixer for pizza dough. It is a multi-tool designed to replace half the manual labor in your kitchen, not just the mixing part. Cleaning and maintenance. Let's be real. If it's a pain to clean, you won't use it. Blenders usually win here. You can often just put a drop of soap and warm water in the jar. Blend it on high for 10 seconds and rinse it out. The fixed blades mean there are no small parts to lose, and the vertical jar rinses easily. It's low friction. Food processors are a bit more high maintenance. You have the bowl, the lid, the pusher, the removable blade, and the drive shaft, all of which end up coated in food. The blades are dangerously sharp and awkward to wash by hand, and the safety mechanisms in the handle or lid can trap food particles if you aren't careful. It requires a bit more commitment to the cleanup process, which is why many people hesitate to pull it out for small jobs like chopping a single onion. The dough exception. You might be tempted to try making dough in a high-powered blender, but don't. While some marketing claims say you can, the physics are all wrong. Dough requires kneading, a slow, stretching motion. Blenders tear and overheat dough, developing the gluten too aggressively and heating the yeast, which can ruin the rise. The food processor acts more like a baker's hands. The short, stout blades and high torque allow it to knock together a ball of dough in roughly 60 seconds. It cuts the fat in cold and fast, which is the secret to flaky biscuits and pie crusts. If you bake but don't have the counter space for a stand mixer, the food processor is your legitimate backup quarterback. The blender shouldn't even be on the field. Which one do you actually need? If your diet revolves around morning smoothies, protein shakes, and pureed soups, buy a good blender. Don't overthink it. It handles liquids better than anything else. But if you actually cook, if you find yourself spending 20 minutes every night chopping onions, carrots, and celery, or grating cheese for tacos, get a food processor. It is the only tool that genuinely buys you back time during meal prep. Ideally, a well-stocked kitchen needs both because they cover each other's blind spots. But if you have to choose one, look at your cutting board. If it's always full of veggie scraps, get the processor. If it's gathering dust while you drink your dinner, get the blender. It's that simple.